Hola amigos, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Emma and today I was wanting to chat to you about how Camp Nano April 2024 went and also how I'm doing with hitting those monthly goals that I set up at the beginning of the year. First, if you haven't been to my channel before, hello, please make sure that you boop that like button if you're enjoying this video and subscribe if you're not already, because we have such a lot of fun here. So Camp Nano finished just a couple of days ago, and yeah, my plans definitely changed for it, and then they actually changed again. So I'm going to say that I won Camp Nano just because there was one big thing that I needed to get done during April, and so I'm just going to give myself the win. Maybe I didn't win conventionally or whatever, but you know, Camp Nano is supposed to be a little bit more relaxed, and frankly, I need the win, so we're going with that. So originally for April this year, my plan was to work on a secret project that I have. It was going to be a lot of work, but also a lot of fun and quite different from what I have been doing for the last few months. I typically write contemporary romance, and I'm also working on a Regency romance, and this was going to be a non-fiction book to go along with the couple of other non-fiction books for writers which I've already written. But it got closer and closer to April, and I realized that I was falling behind in my monthly goals. So at the beginning of January, I set monthly goals for each month of the year because it's a really busy year for me, and I hoped that that would keep me accountable and just very aware of where the time was going. So it seemed like an absolutely fantastic idea at the time and very sensible, but it actually wasn't, because what I failed to take into account is the amount of extra work that I would have to do on top of these monthly goals. So my thinking was that although I'm going to be having 3 books out with my publishers this year, one of them was completely written. No, 2 of them were completely written, I think. I think that's right, yeah. And the other one, the first draft was completed. So, you know, that was good. Fantastic. Except I hadn't put into my plans the fact that obviously I would have to do the developmental edits and the copy and line edits and the proofreading that was sent to me for these books, which obviously take up a lot of time. And I don't necessarily know when those things are going to come to me. I know roughly when the books are going to come out. I knew that this book, for example, The Baby Plan, that was going to be my spring release, and it came out a couple of weeks ago. I know that my book Centre Stage, that's the working title, I'm not sure if that's going to change, but I know that that's coming out in the summer, and my Christmas book is coming out at the beginning of November. But I don't know when I'm going to be getting the edits. So what tends to happen is I'll just check my email and my editor will say, here we go, here are the copy edits or whatever. Are you able to get this back to me within 2 weeks or something like that? So obviously that then becomes my priority. And I had a lot of edits to get through kind of back to back for different books. I was doing developmental edits for one, and then copy edits for one, and then copy edits for another one. And it was a lot, definitely a lot. And that is why I kind of fell behind before April. The other problem that I had as well is that I didn't take into account the amount of editing jobs that I would have. So as well as writing, I'm also a creative writing instructor. I teach at my local community centre, and I'm also a freelance developmental editor and a book coach. Again, with the editing jobs and the book coaching jobs, I don't know when they're going to come in, and I don't know the size of the jobs. So sometimes I'll be asked to help somebody to write a book blurb or a letter to an agent or something like that, so quite a small job. Other times I'll have an 80,000 word manuscript that needs extensive developmental edits, which will take a long time, and I don't know when those jobs are going to come in. Also, April saw Easter was just at the end of March, Easter Sunday, but then I had family coming to stay, which was lovely and obviously far more important than Camp Nano, I'm afraid. And then I also had a wonderful trip to London for a few days that was fitted in as well. So again, days that I couldn't work, I knew that I wouldn't be able to work during that time. So what I decided to do was to abandon the idea of working on this new project and to focus on finishing my Christmas book. It was on, I think this was draft 3 that I was working on. And my other plan then was to also work on my Regency book. So about a week into April, I realised how long the draft of my Christmas book was going to take, especially because I wanted to add about 5,000 extra words that I hadn't planned to make it up to a certain word count. So again, I changed my plans for April and I decided to make my Camp Nano goal just getting that book off to my publisher because it needed to be with them by the end of April anyway. So it seemed that someone up there was telling me what my goal needed to be. I don't know about you. I don't know if you've ever attempted this, but I find it very hard to add extra words and extra scenes in to a book that is already essentially complete. So I had like a 55,000 word manuscript that was there and I needed to make it closer to 60,000. And being able to kind of write extra scenes and slot them in, I find really difficult, especially because in this particular story, there's quite a lot that the hero and heroine don't know about each other and that becomes uncovered during the story. So I had to make sure that I knew exactly what each of them knew about the other one before I added these scenes in. So what I decided to start with was to add an epilogue because my readers have given me feedback that they really, really like when I do an epilogue, when they see what's happened to the couple, you know, a year or 2 years, something like that, after their happy ever after and they're like established in their lives together. So I thought that would be really good fun anyway. And it really suited my heroine's character arc because she's an artist who hasn't been able to be creative for a long time because she has been grieving and she felt that her creativity had completely gone, but she meets this amazing man, stays in his amazing house, and her art reawakens, and that's really lovely. But I wanted to see the position that she was in with that a little bit later on so that the reader can see how she supported with that and how she's been able to build on it and make it her career. I thought that was really fun. So that was super cool. That wasn't a problem and that was really fun to write. It was the extra little scenes that I needed to put in that were a bit tricky. But I am really, really glad that I did add them because I think it's definitely added depth to the story and to the characters and to my hero and heroine's love connection. And so it was well worth doing, but like I say, it was tricky. It wasn't just a case of sitting down and going, okay, I'm going to write 1,000 words a day for 5 days and it'll be done, you know, not like that at all. Very tricky, very fiddly. Yeah, and there were times when I definitely did not want to do it because it was tricky. I am someone who will procrastinate quite superbly if I don't want to do something. So Tuesday was the final day of April and I was working on it during the day, knowing that I wanted to send it off so that it would be ready for my editor to look at on Wednesday, the 1st of May. So yeah, I procrastinated, I messed around, I found 100 other things to do. I even ended up going on somebody's live stream for a little while. Finally, felt so guilty and realised it was getting so late that I needed to knuckle down. And I finished at 2 a.m. And sent it off to my editor, which was fine. It got done and it was there for her on Wednesday morning. But of course, I then didn't get to sleep until 3 a.m. because I was, you know, completely wired from working on my story and finishing it. And then I had to be up at 8 because I was teaching the next day. So don't be like me. Okay, organize your time better. Don't procrastinate. And yeah, definitely do not be like me. Although it has to be said, I do work better later in the evening into the night. That is when I'm at my most creative. So although there was a fair amount of procrastination, I admit this, it's not quite as bad as it sounds. So there we go. Camp Nano is done. Like I say, I'm giving myself a win. Other people might not. That's fine. It's up to me. I'm calling this one. I get a win. I was also going to talk about my plans for May, but I can't actually find the document that I put down my monthly goals at the beginning of the month. I was so organized and I set them out in this Google Doc, which I can't find. So I actually have no idea whatsoever what I was supposed to be doing for May. However, my plan is that I will be working a little bit more on my summer release. So again, with that one, I need to add an extra 5,000 words or so to make it up. Actually, I think it might only be about 4,000, but to make it up to the 60K mark, my publisher has asked that I bump up the word count so that it's at that mark, and that is no problem, I hope. Again, it'll be a bit fiddly, but I can do it. So that is going to be my main thing for May. And then I may also have edits coming back to me on that as well. I'm not sure exactly when they need the new completed manuscript by. I need to hear back about that, but hopefully I've got a little while. Yeah, and then it'll be working on the Regency, which I really, really want to get back to. If you're interested in that, then I've got plenty of videos on my channel about me struggling to write this Regency. It will get done, but if you are attempting to write either in a different genre to usual or a historical in particular, please do go and check out those videos, because it will make you feel so much better about yourself, because I'm a mess with this manuscript. I'm going to do it and I want to do it, but it is definitely not easy. So there we go. So those are kind of my new goals for May, as well as obviously like taking on any editing jobs or book coaching jobs that come my way. I would absolutely love to know if you did Camp Nano. How did you do? I'm fairly sure that if we chat about it together, we can make sure that you've had a win as well. It's just a matter of reframing it. I firmly believe that. And also, what are your plans for May? Have you got any exciting writing plans? Have you got a new project to start? Or are you going to be just plugging away at something that you've been working on for a while? Well, thank you so much for joining me for this little update. I really, really appreciate it. Please make sure that you boop that like button if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're not already, and I will catch you in the next one.